welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we're going to be doing another true crime video. Yay! I'm so excited. I did one of these videos probably about a month or two ago, and I don't know, I really liked it, and I got so many responses from people asking me to do more, so I'll definitely be continuing with the true crime. So, this story is the most intense, insane story that I have ever researched so far. It's just, so let's get into it. Just be prepared. Okay, this is going to be the horrific death of John Price. On March 1st, 2000, a man named John Price didn't show up for work, causing worry amongst his employer and co-workers. Just the day before, John had made the comment that if he didn't return to work the next day, his estranged girlfriend, Katherine Knight, would have been responsible for his death. Co-workers visited his home the next morning after John failed to show up for work. Getting no response from inside the house, they called the police after noticing blood on the front door. The police soon arrived and could not get any response from inside the house. So, the police decided to break down the back door in order to enter the home. When they did, they found the dead body of John Price. John Price was well known and liked by his friends and around his community. In the early 90s, he was the father of 3 children from a previous marriage that had ended in 1988. His youngest, a 2-year-old, was living with his ex-wife, while the 2 oldest children lived with him. It was around this time that John met Katherine Knight, a woman with a disturbing and twisted history. Katherine Knight was born and raised in the small town of Aberdeen in North South Wales, Hunter Valley, Australia, to an extremely dysfunctional family filled with lying, cheating, alcoholism, and abuse. Her father, Ken Knight, was a man who her mother had an affair with while she was still married to another man. He was an abusive alcoholic who frequently assaulted and raped Katherine's mother, Barbara. This causing Barbara to vent to her small children about sex and her dissatisfying interactions with men. Katherine Knight has also said that she was assaulted by multiple members of her family during her younger years. Despite all of this, Katherine seemed to do very well in school and for the most part was well behaved. But Katherine left school at the age of 15, and by the age of 17, she got her dream job working at a slaughterhouse. She was doing so well and was given her own set of butcher knives, which she would hang over her bed so they would, and I quote, always be handy if she ever needed them. As she got older, she eventually married a co-worker named David Kellett. David was a heavy drinker, and Katherine was known to be a very striking woman at the time and was not afraid to get into physical confrontations, even backing up David with her own fists if he ever got into a fight. They were married in 1974. As their life together began, Katherine Knight's mother, Barbara, told David, after saying "I do," "You better watch this one, or she'll kill you." These words rang some truth on their wedding night. That night, they consummated their marriage 3 times. Katherine became enraged with David and strangled him after he fell asleep, then forcing him to have sex a fourth time. This was the beginning of an extremely violent marriage, which eventually ended with Katherine hitting David across the back of the head with a frying pan when he came home late from a darts game. With a fractured skull, David managed to make it to a friend's house before collapsing. In 1978, David left Katherine for another woman and moved away. In 1986, Katherine Knight moved in with another man named David Saunders. Katherine became extremely jealous when she believed that David Saunders was up to something when she wasn't around. So she decided to cut the throat of his 2-month-old dog in order to show him what would happen if he cheated on her. Then she hit him in the head with her weapon of choice, a frying pan. Her relationship with David Saunders ended after an argument in which Katherine hit him with an iron and stabbed him non-fatally in the stomach with scissors. A few years later, in 1990, Katherine had been in a relationship and had a child with a man named John Chillingworth. But she left him for another man who she had been having an affair with, John Price. The relationship between Katherine Knight and John Price started off well. John's children seemed to really like Katherine, and John was making decent money working in the mines. However, in 1998, John and Katherine had a major argument over John's unwillingness to marry Katherine. In retaliation, Katherine made a video of all the items John had taken from his company's landfill and sent it to his boss. One example of what was taken was a first aid kit that was thrown out for being expired. As a result, John lost his job of 17 years. John was furious and immediately kicked Katherine out of the house. But just a few months later, John and Katherine restarted their relationship, with John insisting that they lived separately. The two began to fight more and more. In February of 2000, once again, John and Katherine got into a heated argument, which ended with Katherine stabbing John non-fatally in the chest. This was the final straw for John. He ended the relationship with Katherine. The next day, before heading to work, John stopped by the courthouse to file a restraining order against Katherine Knight to keep her away from him and his children. Later that day at work, he told his co-workers that if he did not come to work the next day, Katherine would be the one responsible for his death. On March 1st, 2000, police entered John Price's home after breaking in the back door. They found John Price dead, along with Katherine Knight, who seemed to be in a comatose state after taking a very large amount of pills. Once the police started putting things into place, a horrifying story began to emerge. The evening before, as John slept, Katherine Knight stabbed him with a butcher's knife. This did not kill him right away. Evidence showed that John woke up and immediately attempted to turn on the light and escape. Katherine chased John through the house with a knife. John managed to make it as far as the front door when Katherine caught up with him and dragged him back into the hallway where he bled out. John was stabbed at least 37 times. After his death, Katherine left the house with John's wallet and withdrew $1,000 from his bank account. Katherine then returned to the scene of the crime, as she was not done with John yet. Katherine Knight then skinned John's body and hung his skin from a meat hook she had attached to a door in the living room. She then decapitated John and decided to cook parts of his body as if it were a meal, complete with baked potato, pumpkin beetroot, cabbage, yellow squash, and gravy. She then set the table with a note next to each plate with John's children's names. It was implied that she had planned on feeding the meal to John's children. Police found John's head in a pot with vegetables still warm on the stove. Katherine was taken to the hospital, and once she woke up, she claimed to have no memory of the crime she committed. On November 8, 2001, Katherine Knight was sentenced to life in prison, where she will spend the rest of her life behind bars. This was the first time that this was done for a woman in Australian history. Okay, that was a story. Now, I have a lot of notes, as I always do at the end of these videos. I have questions. I normally don't like to say that, this is crazy or that person was crazy or anything like that, because you don't know what's going on with the person. But this is crazy, and I've looked into her past and stuff, and you can look at it on Wikipedia or anything. She has been in mental institutions before, and they just let her out. Okay, so I've got lots of questions, and just what? Okay, so she said that when she was 17, she got her dream job of working in a slaughterhouse. What kind of 17-year-old girl wants to work at a slaughterhouse and that could be someone's dream job, and if you really enjoy that kind of thing, that's great. I just can't comprehend that, because I'm a vegetarian, and I'm very not okay with that kind of stuff. But just and her coworkers said that she really enjoyed her job, oddly enjoyed it, so okay. And then she was given these butcher knives that she would quote, that she would put over her bed and quote, so that they would always be handy if she needed them. What? Okay, first of all, hanging butcher knives over your bed, that's scary to me, because that's dangerous. What if something were to happen and they were to fall, and they would just they could fall and stab you? That's dangerous. But secondly, always be handy if you need them. Why would you need them? Why? I don't know. Okay, and then when she got married to her first husband, her mother told her son-in-law, after he said "I do," "You better watch this one or she'll kill you." Now, the quote is much longer and much more vulgar, and there's lots of cuss words in there, and I didn't want to include that. But can you imagine getting married, and then your new mother-in-law is like, "Yeah, good luck with that. You better watch it, because she's crazy. She'll kill you." How would you feel? And then that night, she strangles him because he had fallen asleep, and she wanted to have sex a fourth time. How dare he fall asleep after 3 times? What? I'm going to choke him and then force him to, do it again. Hello, annulment. No, but for some reason he was like, "Yeah, this is the woman for me." No. I don't think so. No, no, no. Um, and then with her boyfriend, who she thought was cheating on her, to teach him a lesson or to show him what might happen if he cheated, yeah, she cuts the throat of his 2-month-old puppy. That doesn't seem sane to me at all. Why not just go talk to him or, you know, be irrational and start accusing and yelling at him and stuff? Why is it your first thought to be like, I think I'm going to teach him a lesson, so I'm going to kill his puppy? What? That. No, 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 no. I don't think so. But these men, they stayed with her for quite a while after, like, the violence and stuff began. Like, ugh. Okay, and then when she actually got with John Price and he did not want to marry her, she was like, okay, so I'm going to get you fired after 17 years just to get back at you for not marrying me. That equation does not add up to me, you know? But the fact that he got fired doesn't make any sense, because I do a lot of research in these videos, and like, yes, John was a heavy drinker, but he was a really good worker, and he would always show up on time for work no matter how much he partied the night before, whatever. He was a very dependable, reliable employee. And the fact that he got fired was kind of messed up. Like, I mean, I can see the stuff that he had taken was stuff from the landfill, stuff that they had thrown out. So it's not like he actually stole from the company. He was just stealing out of their trash. But I'm like, maybe they were like, well, if somebody gets word of this, that we didn't take action, then they're going to think that they can just steal from us too. Or maybe they were thinking, oh, well, if he could steal that stuff, maybe he could be stealing other things and we can't have that, so they fired him. Like, I can understand that, but 17 years, like, how about, like a write-up or suspension or something, you know what I mean? Like, just full on getting fired. Okay, and then, all right, to the crime. How the way John was stabbed and he just ran instead of tried to fight. Like, this woman, Katherine Knight, must have been a beast, because she got into physical altercations with all of her husbands. She must have been, like, extremely strong and scary. But after the crime, she left with his wallet and she did 2 transactions out of an ATM, because this was like at 12:30 in the morning. She took out 2 transactions of $500, so it was $1,000 that she had taken, but they never found that money, and she never said what it went to or where it was. So it's like, what did she take that $1,000 out for, and where is it? But then she returns back to the scene of the crime, which is where the craziness starts. Like, just, what? Okay, he's dead, but now you have to skin him and then hang his body up in a hook from the living room door? Like, what? And then she decapitates him. I don't understand the point of this, but I don't know what her mind was going through at the time. But I didn't say this in the story because some of the people who watch the videos don't watch the whole thing. They just go to the story, and then when I start talking, they back out. But this is like, whoa. Okay, so she cut up his body and stuff, but what she actually did was she cut his head off and then put it in the stew, and then she cut his butt off. She cut his butt off and then sliced it into steaks, into 5 steaks. And then she cooked them the way you cook a steak. She threw one of them out the back door for the dog to find and eat, but the dog wasn't there. I don't know where the dog was. I don't know, but the police found it later, and it had been untouched. And then she, like, you can go look on Google or whatever at the crime scene photos or the crime scene video, like, ugh. But the plates, like, they had the vegetables and all the stuff, but then they had 2 steaks on there each, for both of the kids. So there was like double steak on each plate. Steak. And like, then she sets the table with their little name cards next to them so they would know what plate was for them. So like, what are they supposed to do? Like, the children were not there, thank goodness. They were at their mother's house, I guess. But what was she thinking? Oh, they're gonna come in the house and she's just gonna be like, oh, excuse the murder, just ignore that. Here's your dinner, eat this. Don't look at your father's skin or his decapitated body. No, just eat your dinner. What was she thinking? Like, ugh. Anyway, so after she came out of her comatose state because she tried to kill herself with pills or whatever, but it didn't work. She claimed that she had no memory of what had happened. Yeah, right. But so she originally pleaded innocent, and then out of nowhere in the middle of the trial, she was just like, yeah, I'm gonna change that to guilty. But there was no explanation, no nothing. She just switched it to guilty mid-trial, and that was it. Obviously she was found guilty like right away. But then she obviously filed an appeal and she lost it. So she's in there forever, which is exactly where she needs to be, because she's crazy. Like, just, she's crazy. The story's crazy. I did not see that ending coming. It was just, ugh. But still a very interesting, like, whoa story. She's apparently one of the most famous, like, murderers in Australia. I had never heard of her before. But yeah, that's why I like making these videos, because I find out all these stories that I've never heard of before, but they're always really, really interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.